beautiful viewers on E360. I hope that you are excited as we are. We are truly, truly feeling so well. I'm blessed. I can see my miracle man. I can see my life force and my rosebud. But not just that, we've got an amazing spotlight or author that I cannot wait for to be introduced. So we already have Christiana that is giving us so much love and sending us love and supporting vibes. So my beautiful ones, I am going to hand over to our miracle man. He is going to take care of hosting today because we are struggling with power and we are on battery power. So I am handing it over to you, my beautiful Howard. Thank you for being our host today.
Absolutely. And I'm talking to you. We have three different locations: Canada, we have South Africa, and then the United States. But we're all in different parts. It is snowing really hard in Michigan, and we're going to get a storm, and we're going to get a storm over the weekend. So it's winter. It's a winter wonderland. So glad to be on the show. And first of all, I'd like to actually introduce the panel and you, Sanet, and myself, and then John will introduce you because we're going to talk a lot about you and your book today. We are so thrilled you are here with us. So I'd like to actually first have our life force, Laura, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, as always, John. Welcome. This is like one of the coolest clubs in the world to belong to. It's a very select group. We welcome everyone, but you're now part of the family. So looking forward to asking questions. Laura Brennan Ballet. I am going to say people consider me a thought energy expert by now. I really look at energy because it is in everything. So how we think about thought and how we can empower ourselves to empower the collective is very important to me. Life coach, empowerment speaker, transformation coach, all and anything around mind development. But it is an honor and a privilege to always be here with my gang and certainly to invite you in. So I look forward to interviewing you.
Thank you, Life Force. And our beautiful Christa Rose Rosebud, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Howard. I am super excited to be here. And John, I can't wait to jump into all the questions. I have so many things I want to ask you and so little time. So I won't take up too much, but I am an Amazon #1 best-selling author. I have to say my book name because it gets fun. Skip the pain, experience the pleasure. Here's a tagline. Cut the crap that's holding you back so you can live the life you love. And really what that means is everybody experiences pain. And I help people shift their mindset from pain to a place of passion and purpose. And I'm also a coach, a nutritionist, an energy worker, Reiki master, and TV co-host with my fellow family at this point. So thank you, Howard.
Excellent. So next, I'd like to have I call her my dancing queen butterfly. She is the voice amplifier and the reason we are all here. Sanet, please introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you, my miracle man, my beautiful John. I am so privileged to have you on the show as well. So I am Sanet. I'm your voice amplifier. I create space and stages for millions of incredible people around the world to come and share their wisdom, their brilliance, and their transformative stories. So I cannot wait to hear your story. I have read, I read your book, and it actually touched me in so many ways because our miracle man is also going through, and I cried actually quite a lot today. So thank you for having the courage to write your book. My miracle man, may I ask you, would you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So I am known by Sanet and my family as the Miracle Man here at Author's Journey, but I am Howard Brown. I am Mr. Shining Brightly. Put on those glasses. Let's shine together. Let's shine it up right here. I am the author and bestseller of Shining Brightly, my memoir. and it's an international bestseller, as well as award-winning speaker. And I have a top podcast called The Shining Brightly Show that is now on hiatus, but go look, 112 shows. It's amazing, and it's all about resilience, hope, and inspiration, because we always want to motivate, educate, and inspire. I want to give a quick shout out because yesterday, and also Christiana, I still read my poem every day. Thank you. I'm shouting out to our guests. But I had a witnessing and a prayer for people around the world, praying for me and my health as I battle a third cancer, acute myeloid leukemia. And so I'm going through it right now, John, as you know, and we found each other online, and I brought you here to Sanet for a reason. And we are going to explore with you all about your book. And we're going to ask you questions that you will not have heard before. And you'll be able to share this on your website, because we want to know a lot different. We come at this from a lot of different angles, from a spiritual, from a practical, but we want to know who you are and why you wrote your book. And we're going to get into it right now. But before that, please introduce yourself to our live TV audience.
Okay, I'm John Clark. I'm a native Texan. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and moved up to Central Texas, about halfway between Austin and Waco, to go to work as a journalist a newspaper reporter after I finished college. I went to college late. When I was about 26, I started college. And I worked as a journalist for a long time, and then I became a school teacher, junior high English. And then I retired from that. I got enough time in that I could officially retire from that. And now I'm a freelance journalist and a book writer, an author.
Well, we are thrilled. And again, I have your digital as well as the book, and I got to hold it up in front of me for those of you I got to get in a different position there because I have my feet up. But you hold your book up, and it is available. It just came out at the end of January, I think the 22nd, and it is selling like hotcakes. And John is basically on TV and promoting his book, so others that have been touched by cancer can understand the journey. And we're so pleased to have you here. So we're going to dig right in. I'm going to actually start with Laura, and then go to Christa, then Sanet, and then come to me. Now, one thing, John, when we get towards the end of the show, around 45 minutes in, we are going to have something called the speed round. And Sanet has something called a paparazzi stick. And I'm going to ask you one or two words, and you're going to respond with short responses. And then you'll know that we're coming close to wrapping up the show with a final few things. There you go. We're paparazziing right now. And if we hear something brilliant or something reason, some of us put on our sunglasses to reflect that around the world. So you'll see us putting on sunglasses, and you can join us if you want to. And so we all want to shine brightly together. And so, Laura, please kick it off, because we always have way too many questions and not enough time. But we'll get started.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And John, you'll discover throughout our time together that sometimes we piggyback. We're always writing the same questions and the quotes, and there's a synergy between us. But first of all, I'm just so happy that you're here, healthy, and you've made it through. So that's a unique journey, I think, for a human being to take, and you've made it through. So I'm going to use that as a great sign that HP is coming right up on your heels and might even just blow right by you. So it's important that I think we do shine light on the realities of what it is to go through and survive cancer, but also something I love that you did, and I'm not sure which question I'm going to go with first, but you I guess I'll go with this one. You kept a morning routine, number one, or created a morning routine. You also journaled and kept this daily interaction that for me somewhat normalized the journey. Even though at the moments that you would journal, we were aware of what you were going through and thinking and feeling. But I thought it was amazing that you stayed connected to kind of regular life. And I was wondering if you, looking back, feel that that kept some of that negativity and some of that maybe depression or sadness or fear that you also expressed throughout the Cancer Diaries, if that kind of normalcy helped you feel a bit normal through a very abnormal situation. So going to the gym, learning new nutrition. I love the homeopathic, holistic kind of path you also took. So staying connected to just some of the things that everyday people do, I thought was quite remarkable. You didn't let it like pull you under. You just kept staying a bit above water all the time. Any thoughts that you can share that can empower those listening that maybe aren't necessarily going through cancer, but are going through some deep challenges where that morning routine and some of that normal stuff that we do really helped, I think, see you through. Uh-oh.
So John, we lost power for Sanet. So John's going to have to log back in, but we know we continue. So I want to
Yep.
answer that question because it's an excellent question. And I call that walking in darkness, and we need to learn from that. And you're absolutely right. So John learned from darkness of being told you have cancer, and I always say it's we had cancer. It's never just solo. And by actually having a routine, okay, and being able to make modifications to that, whether it be diet, whether it be exercising more or less, able to really survive this. Now, John's trying to come back, so we'll see if he can add to that as well. But it's really important that you are taking care of yourself. Self-love, self-care, okay, is so important emotionally, physically, cancer also financially, and then also in relationships. And he does actually talk about that a little bit in his book. But he's trying to get back in, and I can't let him in because Sanet has the controls. But John is trying to get back in. We're continuing as you've listened as well. So I think, Laura, your response to my response is what I spoke for John, but I think that you would agree that taking that all that energy that we call life energy. Here's John. I think he's coming back, but we only go.
My beautiful one, I do see in the background John's internet is very unstable. John, I think you can hear us, but we cannot pick up your camera. Can you hear us?
Okay.
All right, he's trying. So will you reply to that, and then we'll go on to Krista, and we can
Yeah,
respond.
no, and thank you for stepping in, very authentically stepping in to those shoes and answering that. And it was something I know when we speak personally, and then reading the Cancer Diaries, it's just something that gave me hope that even for myself, when challenges arise, the importance of self-compassion, but maintaining some of that, again, I'm going to use that word lightly, that normalcy, searching out new remedies, staying connected to the loved ones, working out, even if it's just small steps, it allows us to feel like not only can we make through this journey, but when we come out, we're going to be a bit stronger because of that self-care. So I think obviously, Howard, incredibly beautiful answer, very supportive and very empowering, I think, for all of us that go through challenges, and certainly those who are going through cancer.
And listen, it's a roller coaster. And as Krista, he in his journal, he was angry, he was sad. Some of his care didn't align. It all happens, and that is part of it. So, Krista, I'll step in as a part as John until we get him back a little bit. But what were some of your thoughts? And maybe I'll take a shot at this question or your question.
Yeah, you know what? I just want to talk a little bit about the book for those people who don't know yet, because when you get it, you're going to be blown away. He writes like a journal, like a diary. So for me, it was stepping into his mind. What was he thinking? What was he feeling? What actions he was taking? And that is kind of what was the most empowering thing for me. There were so many times it brought tears to my eyes, and as a survivor myself from many chronic illnesses and rare diseases, and I don't need to go on. I really related to the roller coaster of the emotions, the at first not wanting to tell anybody, and I know that C word, I don't want my kids to know that I have cancer. Just saying that word, how scary that is. And I appreciate where he was at the same time when he started letting people in. And I think exactly, Howard, like you said, it is a we disease because it affects not only us, our loved ones, it affects people we don't even know. Because I know, I'll use you for example, Howard, that even people we don't know, although I know you, are still inspired watching your journey. I know for myself, I've received lots of comments and emails from people who don't know me, but do know me through some of the illnesses I have been, facing and still face, and that they're inspired that I'm continuing to going despite the pain, despite those hardships, taking that mindset and thinking forward and planning the next steps, visualizing how beautiful things are going to be. When deep down you want to say, oh no, and it is, I want to validate the feelings that it is scary. I have been scared. I have been frightened. And I see, John, you're back. And so
Back.
I just really want to validate that. So, yeah, amazing.
So
John, do you
John,
have any?
yeah, add some insights if you heard some a little bit about the journey, about what you've learned, and some of the changes that you've made.
Yeah, Laura was talking about the journaling and the purpose for that, and that's kind of the only way I hung on to my sanity for a while. Is that's how I'm able to express myself and get things out. Because I write to get things out. Some people talk to someone else to get things out, but in this case, too, it's hard to find someone that really understands unless they've been through it themselves. I think. Um, but just writing it out was the best way for me to kind of sort through my feelings and try to hang on to positivity, and not get bogged down in negative because I knew it was important to stay positive. A lot of people told me a positive attitude is right up there at the top of the list.
It is, and thank you for that. And so that is a shining brightly moment there. We're going to share with everyone that positivity and that attitude is important. So, John, I want people to know that you were diagnosed with a gastric cancer, a bladder cancer, squamous cell carcinoma, and so again, I've had colon cancer, I've had lymphoma, and now I have leukemia. So I've had two blood cancers and a solid tumor cancer. And I know you
Yeah.
didn't really enjoy the word tumor. I want to get into that a
No.
little bit with you, but I want Sanet, please take over and have a question, and then I'll follow you.
Thank you, my beautiful miracle man. So, my beautiful John, for me, reading through your book, you know, I I never went through something like this, and because of my miracle man, and there was things that you've mentioned in your diary that I didn't even think about. When you are receiving your chemo that is going through, you are in the hospital from 9 o'clock till 2 o'clock, and you're actually sitting there with this, and the whole body is changing. There's stuff happening, and you're sitting with your mind, and you got all this stuff. May I ask you, how did you help your mind to help you to be positive? And I know that you have quite a lot of entries in your diary that it stated you didn't like where you were, and then you were cross, and you had all that emotions. But how, while sitting there getting your radiation, how did you keep you from not going insane? If I may say that, I'm so sorry. I don't know how I have the right vocabulary.
I don't really know. It's funny. My wife gets on to me because all through this, every time you go to a doctor, they want to know, they ask you 25 questions, the same questions every time. And six different people might ask you in one appointment, what's this? What's that? And the big one is, what's your birthday? Can you confirm your date of birth?
That's right.
And I get irritated with that. It's still me. It's still me. I'm the same one that walked in. And my wife gets kind of irritated at me for getting irritated at them. So when I went in for the chemo, the girl was leading me back to my little cubicle area, and that's what she says. Can you confirm your date of birth? And I said, what happens if I forget my birthday? You know, just making a joke. Are you still going to let me in? And of course, she knew I was kidding, and so I think I tried to approach it with some humor,
Mm.
and just I took an ice chest full of healthy food to eat. So I'm trying to contribute that way to positivity, doing something positive to help myself. And I guess that's what I did all the way through it, is try to do things that I knew were good for me and to help keep my mentally and physically, to try to help myself as much as I could, because just basically turning myself over to the medical industry and saying, here, fix me, it's terrible. Nobody likes being that vulnerable, I'm sure.
Mm.
So I tried to do as much as I could on my own too,
Well, I love
which
that.
That's
I
a
still
wow.
am.
Love that.
Wow.
Advocating for yourself.
Advocating, yes.
Yeah, just wow.
Thank
Sanet, do
you,
you
my
have a reply? Okay.
thank you, my beautiful John. Over to you, my miracle man.
So, John, I have to tell you, so I know how you made it through is that you started to build your resilience and you learned you weren't happy all the time. And as I said when you were off air, that I know that you got angry, you cried, but you learned from it. And you basically had to emotionally adjust, physically adjust. I don't know how financially, but also in relationships, because some people stay in your life and some people enter your life, leave your
Yeah.
life. And so I really appreciate that. I'm going to ask two questions here, but I'm very curious. You're a high jumper and a pole vaulter.
Yeah.
Just pole vault, not
How
high
am I?
jump.
Okay, just pole vaulting. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you get yourself over a bar with a pole that bends? I mean, that's incredible strength. And I was just, again, I hope you use some of that to your inner strength there as a pole vaulter and a competitor to get you through some of those tough times. Tell me about that.
I think that did help. That was one of my biggest regrets in life, was quitting all sports when I was in 10th grade in high school. So I was always, from the time I was 7 years old, I played sports year round. And then I turned into a teenage knucklehead and I quit everything. Got a little attitude, and I was going to show them. I sure showed them, didn't I? And so when pole vaulting came back around 40 something years later, I was able to say I'm an athlete again. And it
Nice.
really turned my life around. And I may have used that. Of course, I had to quit the pole vaulting for about a year,
Right.
but I'm back at it now. I'm practicing again, and I'm going to be entering some competitions soon.
I am so
Wow.
proud of you because you found your happy place. Mine's the basketball court. We all have different happy places. Some is the beach,
Oh,
some is the mountain, some are cooking, some are yoga, meditation. But I'm so proud of you that you're getting back into it and it's back.
thank you.
I do think you're going to, it's just, I'm so inspired by that. You mentioned that writing this book was also life altering. Share some of the ways that it's been life changing for you.
What was that again? The
You
what
said
book?
in the book, you said it was life
Oh, in
altering writing this book, and I
Lord.
have to tell you,
Oh,
my book was life altering. We've all are authors here, and we've all had life altering author experiences. I'd like to know how yours has been altered your life.
writing the book or going through all this?
Right, writing the book,
Or writing
going
the
through
book?
cancer. I'm with you. I know how that is. We're going to talk about that too, but both. But it really, the book, becoming an author, it's a huge deal.
um, I don't know if it was really life changing. I've written a lot of books, but it's starting to be life expanding. I think
Good.
I'm on
Nice.
this. I've met all you, and I met you, Howard, and you led me here, and
That's
I'm
right.
on this show, and I'm learning how to promote. I never really promoted any of my other books really at all. I just kind of put them out there and kept my fingers crossed, like a lot of people do. But I think this is. I had a problem when I retired in 2020 from teaching school with my purpose. All of a sudden, my purpose was gone, and I didn't anticipate having that trouble. And I used to sit where I'm sitting right now in my little office and look out the window and think, "What is my purpose now? What's what is it all about?"
Mhm.
And through this now, pole vaulting stepped in to help at one point, but now through this, I think this is my purpose.
Nice.
Amen. You're changing lives, and that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I need to ask you a question. How long have you been no evidence of disease or cancer free?
It's going to be 1 year in, what's
Ooh,
today, the 12th? 1 year in 4 days. In 4 days, it will be
Beautiful.
1 year.
nice.
That's
Woo.
amazing. We're so proud of you. That's huge, and you have to keep going. And I know sometimes you're on surveillance a little bit, but do you get scanxiety, or have you moved on? Is this cancer moved on?
It used to be awful. The first thing that happened was I, I discovered a little knot in my thigh, my inner right upper thigh, and they removed that surgically in an outpatient surgery. I was awake, laying there the whole time, wide awake, and so everything was good to go with that. Of course, I had like 2 or 3 scans 3 months apart after that, and it was nerve wracking as hell. Excuse my language. Uh, I That was the hard part in the beginning, was not to worry all the time. Lately, especially since the chemo treatment was completely successful, the worrying has gotten farther and farther apart. Now I really don't think about it very often anymore. I've graduated from 3 month scans to 4 months,
Beautiful.
and I have a 4 month scan coming up in the first week in March. But I think I'm fine, so I'm really not worrying about it yet.
Well, amen. Christiana says that she loves your accent. Okay, your southern accent.
You have
She
an
loved.
accent?
She says you have an
You've
accent.
got the accent,
You
yes,
have a
you've
little
got
accent.
the
I mean, Sanet has an
Everybody else
accent.
has
I parked my
accents.
car in Harvard Yard with a Boston accent, but she loved your expression of 40 years later, an athlete, and also the words life expanding. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Christiana. Laura, please go with your next question.
Yeah. So, John, I am, as I said, all about energy. Energy coming in, what happens to that energy when it's inside of us, mind, body, consciousness, and then what energy are we putting out? And talk a little bit about grit and grace. In the book, there was a mention to these two words that I picked up on. So I'm curious, how do you, now that you've gone through this journey. How do you empower, empower the grit so that you now can empower, the grace? And the reason I ask you in that way is so many of our personal journeys, right, empower us. And as we all do, and you are doing now, you're empowering others. But I loved the grit and the grace. I thought those two words are beautiful bookends for life in general. But so I'm just curious if you could share a little bit of thought, maybe around those words. And I know you talk about positivity and negativity, which is on the cover of my book, and also neutral. And it seems like you have found this very unique skill of recalibrating neutrality, which for me is a superpower, and this is my word. But I really thought between that grit and that grace, there's something quite special there. And it's something I picked up by reading the book. And that could be my perspective, but I want to give you an opportunity to maybe just give a little bit of thought around that.
I'm not sure I can answer that question.
You're a
Um,
writer. Of course you can.
um, I don't know. I just have a strong desire to help other people
Mm,
not be so scared and confused like I was.
no, there you go.
I don't know. That's it.
That's okay.
And also Howard mentioned how about relationships in the cancer journey. And that's a problem I had at first, but it's so there's so much to it. I didn't want anyone to know and feel sorry for me, but I wanted everyone to know and feel sorry for me at the same time. Um, you get a lot in the beginning of when you start to let the word out slowly. Well, when I started to let the word out slowly, then you get, oh, prayers up. We're praying for you. You got this, blah, blah, blah. But then that goes away pretty quickly. And, I kind of got my feelings hurt when people dropped away. But I talked to some friends, and my friend named Bubba, who taught me how to pole vault. I have some pretty smart friends. And that, we talked about it, and people don't want to hear about cancer and dying and different things all the time. And that's part of it. It's not a happy subject, and it's hard to know what to do or what to say. So it's easier just to do nothing. But like I wrote in the book, you don't have to do much. Just every once in a while, just say something like, I was thinking about you today and wanted to check and see how you're doing.
Well, I want to say thank you for that answer, and I hope you surprise yourself because you do know, because you just answered that perfectly.
Oh,
And what I love
okay, good.
about Yeah. And what I love about this empowerment and empowering is when I read that part in your book, that's when I reached out to HB that particular moment. And I do reach out to him and we have connection. But when you said it doesn't have to be big and grand, just letting someone know, I'm thinking about you in this very moment. Something came across, my day, and I just want to let you know I'm thinking of you. And even in our prayer work we did yesterday, when Sanet asked me about a message to Howard, I just said I love you. That was what was in my heart. I didn't need anything else. So
Yeah,
thank you, and I hope that I can empower you to remind yourself that you do have all the answers within, and you just gave so much to our audience, which is important. So thank you.
thank
You
you.
answered it beautifully.
That
I'm
was
glad.
very, very good. So, Krista, please.
Yeah, I mean, right from the cover of your book, if if I knew somebody who was starting the journey, even hearing about going for testing, I would see it and I would grab it because, Cancer Diaries, knowing that someone who's already gone through it, who's already taken the steps, are sharing their experiences, their strength, and their hope. And that's what you did so eloquently. And the way you wrote it kept the reader, kept me anyway, wanting to keep flipping the pages because I was emotionally invested by now. But the one thing I do want to really commend and kind of illuminate is that you did bring in some holistic energy work, and you did balance it with conventional medicine, which I think is the best of both worlds. And it's not both worlds; it's all one world. We're all energy, and connecting the mind, body, spirit, putting it in a place of peace and calmness so it can accept any treatment and can basically accept any healing. I know in chapter 6 you talked a little bit that you told your doctor about it and he's like, okay, go ahead. But did you get any pushback from, maybe general people, or did you get a bunch of people saying, call me, I got the secret pill
Oh,
or something?
yeah. I've been exposed to lots of holistic things throughout my life, and so I had some familiarity. Famil. Somebody say that for me. Familiarity
Familiarity.
with.
Yeah.
And so when it came to this, I drew back on some of that experience, and of course I'm Mr. Research, so I'm researching all the time. And I did Reiki, and in the beginning, I have a friend who's a Reiki master, and I'm actually a certified Reiki whatever too. I've just never used it, and but I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. But when I did do conventional treatment and my own treatments, and when it came to one of my blood tests and one of my appointments at MD Anderson, my liver enzymes were high, and that can happen from one of the holistic alternative treatments I was doing myself. And I have an oncologist and then a physician's assistant, I guess, down there. And I was talking to the physician's assistant about it, and I decided just to be honest. And I told her, well, I'm doing this and this. And we talked, and she left the room. She was going to order what it was. She was going to order me a blood test at a private facility near my house for 30 days later so we could check my enzymes again. After she left, and a few minutes later, the oncologist comes in with this kind of smirk on his face. And I knew she had told him. And I said, are you amused? He said, so you're doing blah, 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 I hear. And I said, you're amused by that? And he said, no, I'm not amused, but then he proceeded to tell me how awful it was and I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
So I just kept my mouth shut, and that the appointment was over, and I got my blood test. I quit what I was doing for 30 days, and the blood test, everything returned to normal. So I'm doing it back. I'm doing it again because I believe it works. But I just have to keep an eye on my blood work. So yeah, it came up, and the doctor was not thrilled, but I don't care.
Yeah,
That's
and
okay.
there's such a range when you talk about holistic medicine or holistic healthcare. There's so many people who claim to be healers or want to, you know, practice different things on different people.
Yeah,
And all those claims may work for some people. I think the best thing to do is to find out what works for you.
yeah,
What elevates you. That's when it comes down to it. What elevates you, and bringing both the two worlds together. Actually, I still think they're one world, because as you're getting the drip, you can change your mindset. You can bring your vibration up. So it's all the same thing. I just want to give a shout out to Marie, who's saying exactly. Sometimes people are just scared to say the wrong thing. So yeah, it's so true. Sometimes we want to hold back. And I want to thank you again for being vulnerable to writing this book. Again, for people who are starting the journey, they have now a light to follow. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to go to Sanet and then probably enter the speed round soon, John. So just giving you a little heads up. But
Okay.
I want to tell you that if any acts of kindness came my way, such as a healing prayer or a love energy, or people hug their kids, or if they gave blood in my honor, or they swabbed, I was grateful for all of that. Okay. So again, there are people that left my world and are just they couldn't deal with it. They didn't know what to say. And I
Yeah.
understand that. But there are so many more people that came flying in to support me in so many ways. And I'm sure with you, if you allow them in. And again, I totally respect people to keep these things private. I am the guy that shouts from the rooftop to go get screened, don't get cancer, go get your colonoscopy, go get your prostate, go get see your lady doctor, your mammogram, go to the dentist. Okay. A healthy you allows you to lift up others by lifting up yourself first. So you and I are on the same page with that. So Miss Sanet, probably your final question before we do the speed round.
So, my beautiful miracle man, I'm not going to ask a question. I'm just going to salute John. So, my
Yes.
beautiful John, one of my dreams is to walk the Camino de Santiago. And I want to do the Portuguese coastal route. So it's going to take me 2 weeks to do 43.8 miles. And I went and looked for the miles because we're talking kilometers in South Africa. So I know that you went back after the cancer, that you did still do the walk. So I want to salute you. And then the next thing is I want to give it over to Howard, but I just wanted to showcase. I did my nails. It's my second time I've did my nails. I'm gonna do my nails. I would have gone today, but I could not. So it's gonna be on Friday. I made it all the rainbow colors. And every time I'm looking at my nails, all my tail nails, I will send Howard love and healing. So it was a small way of me connecting with Howard so many times during the day that the ladies that have done my nails told me, "You're actually too old to do that." But I love my nails, so thank you, my beautiful Howard, for allowing me to put sparkles on my fingernails. All over to you, my beautiful Howard.
So I want to call out Marie again. She said her brother said from day one, the doctor always says, "Don't." I'm not a statistic. Okay, so I beat the odds when I was 24 years old. They told me that I had 6 months to live, and my sister had a bone marrow, and I lived 26 years. Got married, had a beautiful miracle daughter through frozen sperm. Did some amazing things in the business world, but and she's actually just put in something that hope is the four-letter word that fuels the future and fuels your health. And Marie, thank you for that, because resilience and hope is about my book, Shining Brightly, and about John's book, and actually Christa's book, and Sanet's book, and Laura's book, because hope is never lost. But I do want to say one thing that you caught me off guard a little bit in your book, is that at first you thought cancer meant death. And that is not the case today. Cancer research, and we can actually have disdain for some of the medical pharma companies and some of those people, but they have made improvements. We are now doing telemedicine. We are now doing wearables. We have some progress made, but it does not mean death. There are 18
No.
million people in the U.S. living with cancer. And so there'll be 30 million in the next 5 years living with cancer. And so now the big thing is survivorship. It's how you live with cancer, how you live with those scars, how you live with the emotional, physical, financial, and relationship impact. And I am prime example of someone that has lived with cancer and made a great life. And now I have to do it for the third time. And you've done it beautifully. And so that's what we do. That you take the cards that you're dealt and we KFG, we keep effing going every day. And I'm so proud of you that you do that. And you're a prime example of that. And that's why I reached out to you originally when I saw your book. And I wanted to kind of mentor you as I've been mentored by other cancer patients. So I took
Yeah.
you and I said, John, this is how you're going to get your book out. This is what you need to do. And you listened. And that's why you're here today. And I'm very proud of you. So thank you for that. All right. So it's 45. So we're going to actually enter a speed round. All right, and then you'll all each, Sanet and Laura, and have some short questions to fill out the program in the last few minutes. But John, I'm going to ask you some words, and I'd like you just short response. Short response. The first word I came up when I finished your book for the second time was the word healing.
Healing.
So when you hear the word healing, how do you respond?
Wow, healing. I don't know. Healing.
Well, you've healed. So what do you feel? You've gone through the healing journey.
I don't know. Peace of mind. Peace of
Beautiful.
mind.
Yeah.
You knew. There's so what paparazzi. All right. Now the next word is learning. Learning. And you're a writer, so learning.
Research. Doing research.
I love that. The next word was shining. How do you shine?
Sanet told me that my name is Lighthouse. My new name is Lighthouse.
She gives everyone a nickname.
Yeah. And that's really what this book is about, to shine a light ahead to keep you from hitting the rocks.
Wow. I love it. She's the nickname queen, by the way. She's perfect at
Yeah.
her naming. All
That
right.
was a great one.
So the next word that came up was resilience, your inner strength.
Yeah. I've always thought I don't know myself very well, but maybe that's part of this process, is getting to know myself. And when I've always been, when I set my mind to do something and I really want to do it, I do it. So that's resilience.
Paparazzi. But John, in the beginning of your book, you called yourself a big baby from a needle prick or something. So you are not a big baby. You are tough as nails.
Oh,
You are
not anymore.
resilient, and you grew through the book. Your resilience grew through the book for me. So thank you. And we covered this already, but what does hope mean to you now?
Hope. Wow. I've been on a kind of a spiritual journey all my life, all my adult life, and that's what that led me to write my first book, called Finding God. And when this all happened, I never said. I hope I'm not getting too windy on this. I hope I never said, why did this happen? Why did I get cancer? Why me? You hear about that. Why me? Why me? That never once entered my mind. I think I knew why it happened. I think God, if it's okay to use that word,
It is.
whatever God means to you,
It is.
I think God was trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
And say, look, here I am. You want to find me? I'm right here. And now it's up to you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Paparazzi. Yeah. So we're running short, but I think Laura and Christa and Sanet will, if you have something short for John, please, Laura, go.
Yeah.
Can I quickly just interrupt? I'm so sorry. So my beautiful John, in on the Christiana that is part of giving us so many feedback, she is the housekeeper, and you, my beautiful John, is the lighthouse light. Because if you have a house to keep it, but you don't have the light, then it doesn't work. And you, my beautiful one, shines your light for other people's not to go over on the rocks. You are amazing. Now I'm complete, Laura.
I love that. I love too the analogy of the light so you don't come upon the rocks. Forget crashing into them. You don't even come upon them. For any of those, myself included, I'm a boat girl. You don't want to go anywhere near the rocks ever. And I think this is, again, the beauty and the power of the book. I also want to acknowledge and reflect back to you your humble nature. It's just very beautiful. It's very lovely. It's almost like that 7-year-old kid to the 10th grade. You had that kind of grit in you. And then, as you said, maybe the ego or whatever that path stepped in. And then this awareness and this connection to a force beyond the cancer. And you were able to tap into that through God, etc., which I think is something that made you your own best advocate. So maybe just a quick response to the listeners who maybe don't have the resilience or the confidence or the light within to really show up and advocate for themselves. And I know this, I just lost my dad a few months ago, and I really showed up and advocated for him. It's such an important energetic, I think, movement. But maybe just give a few words of advice and wisdom and shine that light to redirect those maybe heading towards the rocks of how becoming an advocate for your well-being. You did it beautifully through the holistic approach, but maybe some are a bit shy of that or don't quite know
Yeah.
how to search. So maybe just give a moment response to that.
Well, two things come to mind. Knowledge is power. And a guy told me a long time ago, trust your gut. Your gut never lies. And
Wow.
one example, I'll try to make it real quick. One example was when they removed the tumor from my leg in that outpatient surgery. The guy I met with the guy the day before, and he told me, "Well, you know what we usually do in this case is we remove the tumor, and then we take all the lymph nodes out of your leg." And I thought, I asked him, "Well, why do you want to do that?" And he said, "Well, that's the protocol." And I said, "Well, I don't think I want to do that," because I had read about that long-term side effects of removing massive amounts of lymph nodes. So I said, "Well, I don't want to do that." And he said, "Okay." And we didn't do it. So you know they have recommendations and protocols, but if you're knowledgeable, you don't have to do what they say.
And that was the right decision for you. So, Christa, can you ask something short and then kick it over to Sanet to finish the show? Oh, we don't have time. Oh,
So
okay,
my
over to
beautiful,
Sanet. Sorry, Krista.
thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, my beautiful Howard, for hosting for us today. Thank you, my beautiful Laura and Krista. And above everything, thank you, my beautiful John, for not quitting, but showing the way and have is that example of yes, there's a light and shine your light. So thank you so much, my beautiful viewers. Please go in at the below, click on the show notes. You will see where you can buy John's book, and then all a little bit more information on John as well. And if you want to connect with any of us co-hosts, please do so because our details is also down below. Thank you so much, my beautiful diamond beauties, for giving us for us all your comments. And there's no time for us to have a dance, but I wanted to share this.
Lordy.
So I want to say, please look after yourself. Smile often. And my beautiful ones, keep on dancing. Bye bye, everyone.
All right, all
Bye.
right.